Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Kind of continuing the series that you may have been watching. I have invited some of my favorite fellow advisors in different and complementary disciplines to join me on here. Normally, these are people that I'm having a cocktail with when I'm in town, or we're having a little BS back and forth about business. And what I found is a lot of people were interested in what those conversations look like. So this is not a presentation. This is a conversation which we're kind of allowing you to voyeur in on. And Daria, I've known for, it seems like forever, but maybe
Probably
how long?
7 or 8 years.
7 or 8
but
years.
But it feels like so much longer.
So she's definitely journaled about that. Her meeting me was probably a highlight. Her children's birth, her marriage, and then meeting me probably top 5 things.
Yeah, the counseling from it started within the 2 years after us meeting. And I've probably been paying for a counselor for about 6 on how I deal with Chris Flett. So about 8 years.
It seems like that took too long. You must have got me at a weak point. I normally like to get people into counseling within a month.
It was denial on my part.
It was denial. You know, it's all right. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And so Daria comes from the media advertising world. That's where I met her. She lives in the prairies of Canada. Some would say the Paris of the prairies, unless you've been to Saskatoon, and then you might have a different city you would associate with it.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
She loves Saskatoon.
Yeah.
She should be working for Saskatoon Tourism. She thinks it's great. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today, and so there's a ton of stuff that I actually would love to have her talk about. She's got an expertise in BD, advertising, marketing, engagement, keeping clients happy, keeping them as champions. But selfishly, what I want to pick her brain about for the next half hour is online training. What we have done a bad job at GoCO is figuring out online platforms. We always like to deliver one-on-one. Just about 5 or 6 years ago, we started doing group training and by phone. But Daria was kind of ahead of the curve, and now more than ever, she seems to have really been ahead of the curve. Is she started to take a lot of her training and put it online, start to figure out how to transition that so that it was as effective, or almost as effective. I guess in-person is always great, but her programs get a lot of great attention. And so we are behind the 8 ball. We have 60 titles we're trying to get up. And every time I mention something to her, she'll be like, oh, no, you got to do it like this, or you have to consider that. And so she has probably forgotten more about how this is supposed to work than we have learned. And I wanted to invite her on today's call just to kind of have a conversation about how she came about going online ahead of everybody else, some of the technologies she put into play. I'd love to hear some of the pitfalls or challenges she had so that we can learn how to avoid some of those costly mistakes. So Daria, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Wow. And you can tell by the look on her face that she is really happy to be here. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, let me guess. I'm your serving of broccoli for the week.
You know, it's almost the end of the week. There's only a couple hours left. I can do this. Let's go.
Wow. It seems like your hands, you're having a hard time with your hands. You know,
I don't know what to do with my hands. Carry on.
Wow. Okay. So if anybody gets the movie reference to what we just made, put it in the notes below, and we will get you a copy of Daria's book. I'm just looking to see if I have one on my bookshelf to show you. She probably does.
Oh, I better. Oh man.
Look at you. Oh wow. Selfless plug.
Look at that. It happens to be on my shelf behind me. Hands-on marketing: the small business owner's guide to advertising and branding. Just happened to be there. It wasn't.
Wow, you could be a hand model.
Yeah.
Very nice.
My nails are growing out quite well during this phase of self-isolation.
You know that you can buy nail clippers and files at the shop.
You know, it's not just that easy. It's not that easy. Just ask anybody else who has had their nails done. It's a sad time.
It's difficult. Well, moving on to nails, because you nailed that.
Gosh.
Tell us about, you started thinking about the online platforms for your training. How long ago? Like it was a while back. How long?
At least a couple of years ago. Over a couple of years ago for sure. So my company had always done one-on-one coaching over the phone and group training in person. And and it's a big relationship, a coaching relationship, and sometimes it's just not accessible to everybody. Either they don't have the training budget, or they're just not in the position to commit to a long-term relationship. And I just kept feeling like between the coaching and the group training and my book, there was something missing in how I was teaching the material that I wanted to get out into the world. And so the idea of building just an online DIY course to teach the fundamentals of the steps that I go through with each of my clients and what I teach in my keynotes and my workshop, it just felt like that on some kind of an online thing made sense. And I remember the first day that I set aside a whole day to try to research how to even go about doing that. And at the end of the day, I was no further along than I was at the beginning of the day, because I didn't even know what to call what I wanted to do. You know, is it, am I doing some webinars? Am I doing a course? Am I doing, like, there's just, and there's so many platforms that it's really hard to navigate which one you'd even start going down the path with. And if you've ever done anything with an online platform, it's almost like you have to commit and start spending money in there and play around before you can even tell for sure if it's going to do what you want to do. And often things that should be intuitive don't work in that one. And then you wish later that you would have picked a different one.
And so did you find, like, you making the decision to kind of finally jump into it, was it that you found a lot of people that might not have the budget, or they just needed kind of more of a DIY thing, and then you thought to yourself, you know, there's a lot of meat being left on the bone and people don't have access to this content in the traditional model, so I'm going to add a different part and then maybe hit a whole different segmented market you might not otherwise work with?
I would like to say I was smart enough to figure out if that's what people were asking for, but I wasn't hearing that a ton. What I was hearing was, I can't do the one-on-one coaching. I don't have the budget. They weren't saying, could I learn this on my own? They were following all of the material I was posting online though, and they were following my emails. Like they were consuming my content and kind of became sort of like fans, I guess, or champions, or almost like students of what I was putting out to the public. And so it was more, I think, me that thought, you know, I'd love to put some of this together into a concise, you know, number of steps and take the most important pieces and put it in the right order for people so that they understood what I taught and could do some of it, applying it on their own without my ongoing support.
So you had that free content that you were putting out through your social media channels, and you had your premium offering of kind of the one-on-one, and then maybe one down was your group, but there was that whole area in between of people that would pay something and want more, but might not be in that position yet.
That, and also it reaches further than I can reach. Like my coaching clients are mostly all people I've sat across from, shaken hands with, have a relationship with. And this gives people an opportunity to get to know some of what I teach with less of a commitment and see what it is that they would be applying to their business if they were working with me. And so what I found is that some of the people who go through the course find that they would be a really good fit for one-on-one coaching. Sometimes the online programming just serves as a baby step towards actually doing business long-term with people, but it gives them a biteable chunk on their own first. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you might capture their attention with social media, and then you might get them into the book where they read and understand your philosophy, and then there's a course where they can start to play with the content in their own business, and then maybe they come into a group training or a one-on-one. But the nice thing is they feel probably like they get to know you without you must feel, I mean, you're limited in time like I am, and so you don't have enough time to sit across from everyone. This allows you to serve more people in kind of an automated but intentional way.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so when you were in, and this is where we're stuck right now, is we're thinking about the platform Teachable as one of the things. But so talk to me about, you talked about kind of sometimes you have to pay before getting into the platform. What were some of the platforms that you explored, and then which one did you end up going with?
Yeah, so I when I had that one day where I was spending time researching different ones, I was no further ahead at the end of the day than I was when I started. I ended up getting into Infusionsoft. Okay. And it started out because I opted into their website to watch a little video, and they phoned me. And I said to them, this is what I need this to do. I need it to house some modules. I need it to, this. Can you do those things? Yeah. And then it turned out that based on what I was trying to build, it really wasn't, it wasn't what I needed. It was too massive. I think Infusionsoft is really good for massive companies with lots of sales professionals, and that needed as a CRM and a way to track things. And it can also house some of the learning, but it really wasn't for like a small business that has a product they want to sell. So after 6 months of actually fumbling through that one with their coaches and whatever, and realizing it was the wrong fit, I actually hired out and said to a professional close to home that I trust, I said, I need you to do this, and I need you to help me pick the platform. So I ended up on Kajabi.
Let me ask you a quick question though. So did you build the curriculum once you chose Infusionsoft, or did you have the curriculum built and then you were just bolting it into Infusionsoft? Like what came first?
I think I was building the curriculum. I picked Infusionsoft, started building the curriculum, and then I just moved it all over to Kajabi when I picked Kajabi. So the platform doesn't matter as like, to me, they're two separate things. You know, you figure out what you want to teach. I was going from, I have a 300-page book of stuff, and how do you narrow that down to just enough that it's the right amount to learn in one course? So I had sticky notes on my wall with different like module ideas and stuff. And so I was working on that in conjunction with trying to figure out how to make it work on the platform. And then, switched it over.
And so was it the professional that you hired that suggested Kajabi?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Kajabi?
Yeah.
Or did you give him or her a handful of platforms to review and then advise you?
I didn't, no, because she had already done a lot of work with a number of platforms. And I said, based on all of what you've done, what platform would you recommend? And she said Kajabi. Now I had a little mastermind group of other women who were also creating courses for different industries, and we were meeting regularly to compare notes on all of this, and they ended up picking different ones. I think a couple of them did pick Teachable, and Kajabi was just a function of, I was working with this person, she was comfortable with it, and moving forward, anything I've done since then, like she's still doing most of my work, but if I need to hire a freelancer to do a little bit or fix something when she doesn't have time or whatever, I look for people specifically trained or experts with Kajabi. Like you can find, specific experts in the platform you choose, which is key because they're almost all a different language to some extent.
Those platforms are like, when you're like with Kajabi, did you have a lot of translation work taking the content that you created for Infusionsoft to make it into Kajabi, or are you just pulling content and just loading it into the new platform?
Like
so
just
you
like
have to
any
rework anything.
No, like just like any other marketing pieces, what I'm saying, like a lot of my clients they'll have a big video that head office has done, and we reuse that material in as many places as possible. So they'll break up an hour-long webinar that they've done, and then they'll use it little 30-second clips on social media. They'll put some of it into their emails. So same thing, I felt like I was building a course as its own thing, and then we just put it onto the platform when it was time to upload it. It didn't have to be created in there.
Okay, got you. And so that kind of leads to my next question is, how did you approach developing the curriculum?
I wanted to teach the fundamental steps that I start all of my clients with. I saw this as the first of potentially many courses or online opportunities, not a be all and end all. And in fact, as I was narrowing down the material more and more, stuff I would take out, I'd take out and say that has to be a future course, because you just can't fit it all into one, and it's just too overwhelming. And so by the end of this course, these are the learning objectives that I wanted to achieve. And then even further, by the end of this module, I want them to know how to do this thing. And that's how I introduced every video too. Here's what we talked about last time. Here's what we're talking about this time. By the end of this module, you will know how to, or you will be able to blank. And I tried to make sure that each module just had one learning objective in it. So that it naturally ended up being 8 modules, 8 videos with 8 worksheets, each with a different topic, knowing that I just touched on how to make advertising decisions in mass media, or how to balance between your online presence versus any other either traditional media or direct selling. Like that is, you can only touch on it in a module. So my feeling is that eventually that'll be its own course.
So does every module, you said, has video and it has a worksheet? How long is each video, and is it broken into smaller videos for the component, or is it just like one video? And if so, how long is it?
Yeah, my videos are only up to 5 to 8 minutes long each because I really just wanted them to take away one fundamental piece. But
Hmm.
then the worksheet itself should take them more than, like, it could take them a half an hour or an hour each because I'm asking them to do work in their business, making those decisions, doing the research, whatever it is for that
Hmm.
worksheet. So each module could be up to 1 or 2 hours worth of work, but the material that they learn on the video is only 5 to 8 minutes. And then I continue to add extra resources. So here's a TED talk you should watch, or here's a podcast you should listen to on this topic, because some people want more, they want to go in depth more on certain areas of marketing or whatever it is. And so if I have resources that I've appreciated or that back up what I'm teaching them, then I'm adding those. And I continue to add them. So once somebody's in the course, they have it forever. So I add resources, and then even past students can see those additional resources as they're added.
How did you go about shooting the videos? Did you shoot them in your home? Did you rent some space? What type of equipment? Like how does that happen? Because I mean, with these, I mean, I'm shooting this on the MacBook Pro, but I invested in cameras and microphones and lights and repainted the new office to be flat, right? So that my everything just looks a bit better.
Yeah.
And so how did you mechanically make these videos happen, and who edited them? Like what's the dynamic of how that all works?
So I'll tell you what I did, and then I'll tell you what I would have done or what I would do next time. So I overthought that whole visual. I know you're shocked to know that I overthought something. That's not like me at all. So this one time in my life, I have overthought something.
You lying liar.
So I used our Canon camera. I used our Canon camera. I got a special lapel mic that my audio engineer friend said, I mean, sound is more important than visual. If something sounds bad and if it's cutting out, people are going to tune out. So I got the right microphone, and I had the camera set up, expert in setting up like a set for video shoots, come help me with what I should do for lighting in a non-naturally lit room. But then when I tried to actually do it after, I couldn't. She said, if you do this with these 3 lights, you'll have 0 shadows. Instead, I had 16 shadows. I could not get the lighting right. It was in a basement room where there was no natural light, so you could control the lighting, but I just couldn't get it to work. So I ended up moving up to my living room where there was tons of natural light, and then I just put a ring light on the other side. So I ordered a ring light off Amazon for $125 and used natural light. I had my Canon camera on a tripod, and then I had a good mic. I wanted to do it on my own because I didn't know how it would go, how many takes I'd need. I wasn't quite comfortable on camera, and so I didn't hire somebody to come in and do it. What I would do next time, I'd bring in a videographer, and I would just record all 8 modules at once. Now, I only recorded my face in the first 5 minutes or the first 30 seconds, just introducing the module. And then I used QuickTime Player on my computer to record myself talking with my PowerPoint slides for the rest. So I only needed to be...
Okay, hold on. So give it to me. So first 5 minutes is intro.
Yeah.
And then you are screen sharing and showing the slides, and then you're doing voiceover.
So but you can, on QuickTime Player, you record your screen and the voice at the same time.
Oh, okay, got you. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so I recorded a series of intros for the 8 modules up in my living room with fancy lighting and everything. And then I recorded the rest on QuickTime Player on my computer with me just talking with slides. And then I used iMovie to just link them together.
So you did everything. You shot it, you edited it, you basically were the one-woman show.
I was.
Did you know how to do all that before?
You know what? A quick YouTube video search tells you how to do all of that stuff. So editing in iMovie is actually really simple. And normally this isn't me. I hire out for the stuff that I don't need to spend time learning. I would rather be focusing on building my client base, working with my one-on-one clients, speaking, all those things. But because this was all so new to me, I just didn't want to bring somebody else in when I was fumbling through even what I wanted to achieve out of it.
What was your process of knowing what you were going to cover in each component?
Oh, I scripted it all because I didn't memorize it, but I scripted it so that it's point form. Like when I was in media advertising, if I'd ever get a client to come in and voice an ad, I would always say never script it in full sentences or you'll sound like you're reading. Just have point forms so that you know what you want to cover, but you say it in your own words. So when I say I scripted it, I knew which points I wanted to say for the intro with my face in the camera. And then in my PowerPoint, I had underneath it just what points I wanted to make on each slide to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah.
And so what's the price point on the program now, given that you've included the group coaching and all of those extra pieces? What is the cost now for people to take part in that program?
So it is just under $500.
Okay,
for the
and so
program.
so they get the 8-week program for basically a little bit less than actually working with you one-on-one for
1 month. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
sure.
wow. And plus they get some, is it live interaction with you on the coaching call, the group coaching?
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be a Zoom call. And so it'll be, pre-send in your, so we'll have a closed Slack group where you post your questions as you're working through the module in the week. And people can upvote. Oh yeah, I have that question too. So I see who has the most, like if a bunch of people have the same main big questions, if other people are liking them or upvoting them, then I'll see, lots of people have that same question, so I'll answer it. And that also helps because sometimes in a group, not everybody wants to ask a question live, but I anticipate that we'll have time to do live chat, or they can chat, like type in an extra question or two on the side. Every week I'm going to start with a bit of either a recap or a extra teaching that I can offer that week, or an extra tool, and then answer all the questions. And then if there's time at the end, then chat.
Gotcha. That's awesome. This will bring people who might not have time to go out and get training, right? And the benefit we have now of COVID is people are learning how to remotely access resources. But my guess is after 8 weeks with a group where you're learning together, you're going to want to continue on to have those monthly conversations, just like alum do of MBA programs and all of that stuff. So I think that's a smart takeaway, is having some type of way to keep your classes engaged after the program's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it all adds to what my business has always been about, is offering support, training, tools, guidance for business owners who are like, I don't know how to find clients tomorrow. What am I going to do next week? Like the things I'm doing right now aren't working. And now it's even more important and confusing because I'm home now. So not even the things I was doing can I do right now. I can't go to networking events. I can't do things the traditional way. So this is all just an extension of what my company's always sort of tried to do. And it's moving it online just like everything else. I've been working at it for a couple of years already. I just have been able to accelerate relaunching it because I've had some more time to get it lined up at home.
The last question I have, because I know you have to go, is given, your business with running a successful business, being a speaker, being an author, the mother to like 19 children.
Last I counted, yeah.
How is it that as a established and respected pierogi maker of Saskatoon,
I knew you were going
you
somewhere
have never
left.
sent me pierogies, just a very short flight to where I live, which you could dry pack them in dry ice.
Yeah.
And so I just can't for the life of me think of how that's possible. That was an uncomfortable pause because deep down you're like, I'm a bad person.
It's because the Wi-Fi actually lagged right when you were giving me a hard time. So it's almost like the Wi-Fi is trying to defend me in this situation. But
well, dial-up isn't great in Saskatoon, and I appreciate the 56.6K. That's great.
There's so many benefits to being here. Actually, we invented the fiber optics. So when people got the call from me and my assistant saying, I need to send pierogies to BC, it wasn't well received. And there were lots of people that said, if you're not a public food producer and it wasn't made in a public
sterile
kitchen.
Yeah, sterile kitchen.
Then you laugh, but I really tried. And I can't fly to you right now.
My assumption was, given the wallpaper, that there might be some type of a buffet table or something where you got that wallpaper from. You could have sorted something out.
I think you're misinterpreting the style of this wallpaper a little bit too much. It is very stylish. And I will never do wallpaper again. It's the worst thing ever to do is to put wallpaper on your wall. So, but anyway, so the pierogies, I got nothing.
All right. So listen, everybody, thank you for watching. Thanks to Daria for coming on. I know she's busy, but I strong-armed her into giving me a little bit of time after a very busy week. I hope you enjoyed this. It gave me some insight. I'm going to add some links in the bottom of the description to Daria's website, her book, and remember that anyone that can reference the movie that we were talking about, I don't know what to do with my hands, I'm going to send you a copy of her book. And that's the show for today. And so remember, gladiators eat first, so go after it. Talk to you soon.